Hello, and welcome to the Fabulous Women Podcast Studio. I'm your host, Kim Allen, and this is where you want to come and meet women who are so great at what they do, whatever it is that they do, that they have catapulted themselves into the realm of being fabulous. We have a special guest today that she's so special that I've invented a new word for her. She's a mega fabulous woman, all the way from Australia, making this an international podcast. And I want to welcome the very wonderful Sally Foley-Lewis. Sally, welcome to the podcast.
Kim, thank you so much. I can't contain myself when you call me a mega fabulous woman, because I think I'll take that. Yeah, thank you.
You are amazing. All right, so this is where you come and listen to me say this over and over again, that I love women, I support women, and I promote women. But I really love this woman. Sally and I, we have the best relationship, and we both love red. Oh my gosh, I got the nails done red. Everyone, the nails. Okay, Sally, she's so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. So a couple things that you all need to know up front. We need so much Sally over in America that I'm actually doing something for the first time, that this is going to actually be a 2-part podcast. So part 1 is what we are filming right now. And when we're finished, we're going to go into part 2 of the podcast with Sally. So you're going to be looking for those 2 links. I will be advertising that. Sally, what I would like to do is, like I do for everyone, all my guests, is to set the stage with the audience, those who are listening and those who are watching, and give some background about you so that they understand why you're here and why we're talking. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
And from there, we'll go into some questions. So I want everyone to know that this episode is called The Power Seat: Women Thriving in Middle Management. And one thing that you're going to find that Sally, I am going to interrupt myself right now, because if you could just tell the audience why you are known as, I'm calling you the queen of earth in middle management. Can you just give us a little bit about how that started, and then I'll take it from there?
Oh, thank you. Well, I have seen the middle, as they say, from every angle. Not only have I reported to middle managers, I've been a middle manager, and I've also been a CEO who's had to lead and develop and grow middle managers. And so I have over the years reflected on the value of this position. And I do think middle managers are a bit like hamburgers, where the best is in the middle. So yes, I'm embracing the burger, not wanting to be a shape of a burger. Let's get that right. But the reason why is because they are so perfectly positioned to inspire and to collaborate and to influence and be such a powerhouse for any organization. So that's the answer in short for you.
Okay. All right. And if there was a cherry on top, it would be Sally's earrings, because they're also hamburgers.
Oops, I'll try and turn them around. There you go.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm laughing. You know what? When I get off this podcast, I'm going to have a 12-pack abs from laughing so much with you. Okay. So I'm actually going to look at the bio. I probably could take the whole podcast just reading Sally's bio. It's several pages long. She truly is a middle management rock star. Sally Foley-Lewis indeed is a dynamic powerhouse in leadership development, known for her engaging and results-driven approach to empowering middle managers. Her style, energy, and work transform the impact of blending figures like Oprah Winfrey and Erin Brockovich. And as you say, Oprah Brockovich. If anyone knows Oprah and knows Erin, you'll see the humor in that. With a career in leadership development spanning over 2 decades, Sally has expertly navigated the corporate ladder from operational roles to CEO, giving her a comprehensive understanding of middle management from every perspective. Sally's influence as a speaker, coach, and author is international, having impacted over 20,000 managers and leaders from a variety of organizations, including medium-sized businesses to global corporations across Germany, the Middle East, Asia, North America, and Australia. And we want to get her here to the United States very quickly. Her recognition as a multi-award-winning certified speaking professional is further accentuated by a string of accolades such as the Professional Speakers Australia National President's Award for Outstanding Contribution in 2024, along with multiple gold, silver, and bronze awards from I'm only laughing because Sally, she's so funny, but you're like an Olympic athlete. I mean, you do everything.
We need to play the national anthem now, don't we? And we all stand on the podium. Yeah, let's move on. Look, I've done stuff. Let's go.
No, I want everyone to know this. You worked hard. Okay. And the International Business Award in 2025. Her background, she has a beautiful educational background and also an MBA and had numerous certifications in coaching and leadership. She's also a director on the National Board of Professional Speakers in Australia, a certified learning practitioner, and a fellow of the Institute of Learning Practitioners. Further, she has written contributions to the field of leadership, including 6 published books, and they focus on, a lot of them focus on middle matters. Through keynote speeches, workshops, and programs, both online and in person, Sally Foley-Lewis stands as a prominent figure dedicated to enhancing capabilities of middle managers, crafting them into the leaders that others aspire to follow. And there's actually one, this is the best. I saved this. Look, I even have it tabbed. Okay, look, Sally, this is your, okay. But this is what I love. Also, Sally has been named a LinkedIn Top Voice Breakthrough Speaker of the Year and Female Entrepreneur of the Year. Wow. Okay. That is unbelievable, right? You know what? I could bow, I could genuflect. There's a million things I could do right now.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my mother.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Sally, you are the best. Okay.
Thank you.
So before we begin the questions, and they're good questions, I can't wait for everyone in the audience to hear what Sally has to say. Is there anything that you would like to say? Anything that you would like to add before we begin?
The bio, I think that's an interesting concept in and of itself. And just so everyone knows, of course, I wrote the bio. Kim would not know that information if I hadn't have written it. But I would recommend to every woman in leadership in any role to write their bio. And it's like your resume, basically. It's the entrepreneur's version of a resume. But writing it is a reminder of what you've achieved. And I think we could do with a whole lot more of reminding and remembering how much we've achieved. And it's not about ego, it's about accuracy. And I think we get wrapped up sometimes in being concerned that we will look overconfident, egotistical, or arrogant, when in actual fact, I worked hard.
Absolutely.
And I earned it. Yes. And I had enough self-belief to put my my application in for an award. And I might be going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but here's another thing about this. Doing award applications is another way of really doing a self-audit and looking at where you've come from, especially if you apply for a similar award year after year, and you can see how much you've shifted and how much you've grown. And I think we don't often have enough of that in our lives, of those moments of pausing and reflecting the journey we've been on. I don't care if I win or lose.
Right.
Yeah, that's not true. Of course I do. I'm human. But I don't hold on to that part of it quite as much as I used to, because I'm supposed to be more mature. But again, I'm not. So there you go. But I think, let's be serious, the application process is a fantastic way to sit there and say, look what I've done.
Absolutely.
And enjoy that. You're
Absolutely.
allowed to enjoy the things that you've done and the achievements that you have achieved.
Absolutely. I know that, especially when I'm coaching C-suite leaders, and they'll say, Kim, I've been really lucky. And I said, no, luck has nothing to do with it. You worked hard for where you are right now. So anyway, I love that you said that. All right. So what we're going to do, the first bucket that we're going to be looking at for the questions for Sally falls into framing the landscape, if you will. And my first question is this: what inspired your focus on women in middle management? Why this particular layer of leadership, the middle management?
Yeah, definitely. I love working with middle managers, men and women, and I do want to actually encourage more men and women to be working together better and more efficiently and more effectively and more collegiately. We're championing each other, and I think it goes both ways. But yes. I do love working particularly with women in middle management, because quite often I hear comments around confidence and courage.
Yes.
And it's not that the capability isn't there, although there's a lot to be said about the leadership development for mid-level leaders.
Yes.
But what I do hear a lot about, particularly from women who are seemingly more open to talk about their confidence and their courage in that role. And I think when we have the trifecta of confidence, capability, and courage, organizations are just going to skyrocket in their productivity, performance, their profits, the results that they are looking for. So to me, it's almost a no-brainer to be focusing on mid-level leaders.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why I know that you're right, because organizations still need to hire executive coaches to come in to get people poised for that trifecta. Especially women too. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Sally, you've talked about the 3 layers of women in management: remove, improve, and move. Can you walk us through these?
Yeah, it's one of my little favorite quirks that I like to almost an on-the-spot diagnostic. So when I'm working with people, I ask them, how much do you like being in the middle? Is it something that you want to thrive on? You just want to stay where you are, so you just want to improve?
Right.
Or, and the one that becomes very obvious very early, I hate it. I don't want to do it. I have to deal with people. I want my spreadsheets back. I want my widget making back. I want to get out of here fast. So that's a remove. And then the third version is where people, this is just a holding pattern until I can get to the C-suite. And so that's the movers. And so I classify our middle with those 3 labels, for want of a better term, because then it helps us to work out how we can work together. So for example, I have worked with someone who brought me in and said, I hate being in the middle. I don't want to lead people. I don't want to actually have to deal with people in their humanness. And so tell it how it is. Tell me how you really feel. And so they really wanted to go back to the spreadsheets, and their life and their love was in numbers. And so we actually needed to then work out a process that helped them to respectfully and demote themselves, but in actual fact, they didn't end up doing that. But there is a process you can go through that helps you to go back to where your joy is.
Right.
There's no point being in leadership or management if there is no joy for you, because that stuff is, it spreads like a virus, and it has a ripple effect. And if you're not enjoying the position, then get out.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because when you go back to doing the work you love doing, you will be so much more productive. You will bring more for the organization. You will be a better human for yourself and for everyone around you, home and work. So to me, removing is as powerful and as beneficial for you and the organization as much as the other 2, which is the improver. And I love the improver because this is someone who loves being in the middle. They love the balance of a bit of, keeping their hand in some of the work, but being able to manage and lead and plan and organize and help people do their best work. And so how do we help them do that even better with less stress, more skills, more confidence, more courage, learning how to delegate better, learning how to have proper, more effective feedback conversations, being able to help people prioritize, being able to influence up and collaborate across and inspire down. That's our improver. because they don't have their eyes on the C-suite. They're just happy. I found my sweet spot. Help me make this better.
Right.
And then our third one is our mover. And this is someone who we need to look at, how do we get them ready for the C-suite?
Right.
How do we find a way to give them a little bit of patience, because sometimes they're itching to get up there, and we don't want them to go too early, nor do we want to hold them back, but we need to get them ready.
Yes.
And succession planning, talent identification, putting them through executive readiness programs. That's the sort of work that happens for our movers. So,
right.
So that's our remove, improve, and move.
Wow. I love that. I'm not sure that people think in terms of that, but it's easy to remember. And I think that it all totally makes sense. I have another question. Why do you think there's still a disproportionate number of women in middle management compared to the top levels, Sally?
Well, I think traditionally we know the answer to that. There's just been more men in the workforce, and that's just transitioned straight through. But also there's sort of the, women do take breaks from work, and so getting back in is often where you come back in is often an interesting dynamic. And until we can have men having babies, that's always going to be the case. I just went somewhere in my head I shouldn't have gone, but anyway. Sorry about that, folks. But, it's a life design mismatch in a way, and what I mean by that is sometimes when women step out and are growing their family and doing that important work and life work, then that gives a moment of pause and a moment of reflection about the work that they were doing at work, the organization, the culture, the demands, and really taking that beat to say, is this the place for me?
Right.
Is this the work I want to be doing?
Right.
Life seems to be a little bit different through my eyes, through a different lens now. And I'm not a parent, so I don't come with that experience, but I have heard it, and I am the world's best auntie, so I'll claim that. Like I have half a brain in my head, so I can see that it does change you and it changes your perspective, but so does growing up. And you look at the environment of the organization and you start to question, is this it for me? Is this the culture? Is this the organization? And so they are those life moment questions that then you may adjust and then determine that you go elsewhere. And sometimes going elsewhere means you have to, again, start at a different spot sometimes. Right. And not always, but sometimes. And I think also we have almost this trap in the middle where women will get to the middle, and then it just seems to be this glass ceiling that's much harder to break through to get into the C-suite. And that's a global phenomenon, of course, that we all need to be addressing and having conversations about. And we need more champions of change from both genders around raising up everyone to be able to move through an organization and move up through an organization, the right people in the right place at the right time for the right price.
Absolutely.
And I think the other one is also, there's some sponsorship gaps. And what I mean by that is sometimes through our formal performance reviews, there's not enough advocacy. There's a lot of people in senior leadership roles who are understandably protecting themselves at certain times, and you can understand that, but they don't then remember that during good times, more advocacy will actually lift the whole organization.
Absolutely.
And so I think there's something in that as well. Yeah.
Said. Well, thank you for that. All right, so we're going to be moving on from, can you hear the feedback? You're not? No. Okay, they seem to have gone away. So we're talking now about the pressure and the pressure and perception. Many women feel trapped by expectations and the pressure to climb the corporate ladder. How can they redefine success in their own terms?
Well, how do you define success, Kim?
Talking with you on my own podcast. I've achieved it.
But what else? What else defines success for you?
It's not actually work all the time. I think for me, when I'm successful, I know that I'm happy. I have joy in my life. and I know that I'm fun to be around. That's beside the skill set of being able to work and lead other people. But for me, the success is when I'm enjoying it. So no matter what I do, I could be a nun. No, I would never be a nun. Okay. That's such a bad example.
She'd be a nun on the run, people. She'd be a nun on the run.
I could be a basket weaver. And I would think, and if I'm happy and I love what I do, and I look forward to doing it the next day, I'm successful. So it has nothing to do with titles.
So this is the thing. How often do you sit down and actually ask yourself, what does success mean to me?
Yes.
We're so busy. We're so on the go, and either constantly thinking about the 17 things ahead. We've got 27 tabs open, and we're reflecting or living in the past of when it used to be fun or good. You know, where are we present? Yes. And I did that clap on purpose, so I apologize if I've just busted an eardrum for anyone. But this is a moment to ask yourself, what does success actually mean to me? Because if we can't talk about that to ourselves, about ourselves, and identify it in ourselves, for ourselves, then how are we ever going to be able to articulate that around our workplace? In order to then, you know, you talked about what was the question again? I want to get the wording right.
No, that how can women redefine success in their own terms because they feel trapped?
That's it. So then until we know what it is and have that language, then we're not going to be able to do anything about it. And we're not going to be able to create stronger boundaries and not just create them. And this is one thing. It's all great to have a boundary, but no one's a mind reader. So if you don't actually articulate and tell the world what your boundary is, then people are going to cross it, and you can't get cross at them for crossing them. So, you know, so start by defining it. Start by writing it down, journaling, doing a vision board, collecting pictures. It doesn't matter. Whatever floats your boat for defining what success means to you on your terms. That's the first thing to do. We can't jump ahead to the next step in achieving and setting the scene for success for ourselves if we don't know what that is.
I agree. And actually, my next question, I think you've already answered it. The next question is, you often mention the link between pressure, money, and happiness. How can women break free from that equation? And I think we're talking about that. It's having
absolutely
right.
Yeah. So I'd love to share the example where I worked with someone who I was saying before, they were a remover, and so they hated being in middle management. And so one of the things that that I actually asked them to do was go home. You have to have an alcohol and drug-free evening, and no judgment. It was just, I just want to make sure it was clear heads, and sit down with your significant other and look at your money. Look at the money, because let's face it, it's the biggest instigator of arguments and problems in a lot of households. So look at how much money you can afford to go backwards on if you step back into a role that actually has less income attached to it. And then work that out, because if you don't actually do that, then you don't know what you're dealing with.
Right.
You know, and so when they actually did the exercise, what they equated it to was one less bottle of wine for them per week.
Wow.
That was the difference for them. Now, it will be much different. It'll be different for different people. But if you don't actually do the math, then you're not going to know, and it's going to loom large in your head and in your imagination. I can't do this. I'm trapped. You're not trapped until you actually sit down and make the plan and assess your current situation and what you're prepared to do. And here's the other thing with this. You can go back in order to then go forward in a different direction, you know. And I think this is the thing. People see going back as permanence, and it's not.
Wow.
Call it a reset. It's a reset.
It is a reset. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We are never trapped like what we think we are. We just look at the alternatives and think that they're no better or they're worse, until we actually really do some real hard analysis. Yeah.
Well, that is amazing, that example. And that's such a great call to action to actually try that, because we think it in our head, but when we put it down on paper, it's always different. Wow, that is amazing. I have another question for you about women who leave the corporate world and then feel drawn back. So that boomerang effect.
So did you choose the word boomerang effect because I'm an Aussie?
I did not. Honestly, I did not.
Yeah, look, I think it's fascinating from psychology and sociology that goes behind it. And I think when they leave corporate life, then it's, whether it's burnout, whether it's family, whether it's priorities or a toxic culture, or, or that system won't flex for me kind of scenario, then it's not like they lose their ambition. That's not what it is. It's about stepping back so that they can realign their values.
Yes.
And I think that's the most healthy thing to do, because as you know, I'm all about the best is in the middle. But, but just so you know, when you build a hamburger, any burger, when you build a burger, the most fundamental ingredient in the middle is the protein.
Yes.
Right. And so to me, that in my burger framework, I talk about values as being fundamental. So it's that moment of pause to really come back and say, well, what are my values, and are they still aligned, or do I need to be looking elsewhere? And then also having a little bit more agency for yourself and redefining what this career means for me. So I think that's really important. We've got lots of changes happening in the corporate landscape, and if there's not enough flexibility, then again, how do I fit back into that, or should I fit back into that? And what's my contribution when I go back to that? Asking and answering these questions, because I think the other bit about the boomerang effect that I understand is sometimes we have this unfinished business. Like, I need to prove something. And that can be healthy if it's kept contained. If you're unleashing yourself on the world, that might be a different story. But, there's a healthy level of, I've got unfinished business. I want to prove to myself that I am a leader and I can lead and I can achieve. And that can be really quite healthy, but it's how we go about doing it is the question. So
I agree. That is such amazing advice. And I don't hear enough women speaking about those things. So what I'm going to do now, Sally, is because we're at time. So we are actually going to be ending this podcast and going into our next podcast. And we're starting off with women in communication. Oh my gosh. Amazing, amazing questions we have for Sally. So we will continue. I do want to thank Sally for part 1 of this wonderful podcast. And again, the title is The Power Seat, Women Thriving in Middle Management. Whenever I sign off on the Fabulous Women podcast studio, I always ask 3 things. I have 3 asks based on my book, Reengage. I can't stop engaging. At the end of the day, I do want to thank Sally because she is really a mega fabulous woman with unbelievable advice that everyone is hearing. And I can't wait to start the next podcast. I'm asking everyone to please pay it forward and open the doors for women in leadership now, or the younger generation coming up. Don't make them knock down the doors that we had to. We have the power and we have the wherewithal right now, the skill and the will, if you will, to open doors and make it easier for them so that they can come into leadership positions. Always watch for upcoming episodes, especially the next one with Sally Foley-Lewis. And when you do that, what's happening, you're actually supporting me, because my logo on my podcast is to inspire today so that others can be empowered tomorrow. So until next time, stay fabulous.